guys, and welcome back to another lyrical breakdown with me, your lady friend Bonnie. I'm happy to be here. I hope you guys are too. So this is kind of like my week where I pick a song for you guys and then I just break it down. I'm not an expert or anything. I'm just kind of like giving you my thoughts about the song kind of as I go through it. And then, that's pretty much it. Just kind of like try to like piece together like what the gist of the song is and just like what the core message is and, learn maybe a few things that you didn't know. And, I like to learn from you guys down below. So if you guys have anything that I missed, definitely leave it down in the comments down below. And while you're down there, you might as well like and subscribe if you haven't already. This week I am doing Gods Don't Bleed by Westside Gunn. And it's featuring B.E.N.N.Y the Butcher and Jadakiss. And this is off of his album Supreme Blientel. Yeah, Blientel. So this came out this year. It came out June 22nd, 2018. It's a new song. I don't always find myself looking at like the newer songs. I do tend to like go back. It's what I enjoy listening to more and kind of like discovering and kind of getting like a sense of like the older eras. But you gotta check out the new stuff from time to time, right? It's a new new song, but we have covered Jadakiss on here before, so we are kind of like, I am kind of reaching into someone that we have kind of talked about, but still somebody that's new. I don't know B.E.N.N.Y the Butcher from anything else, and I definitely don't know Westside Gunn. I don't even know how I discovered it. I think I was just like searching through trying to find like some cool new kind of like underground kind of stuff, or like stuff that was maybe like that I should be listening to or more people should be listening to, and they aren't. So I found him, and so if you like it, definitely check out more of his stuff. But anyways, in the meantime, let's get into the song. Let's give it a little bit of a listen right now, and I will get into it.
Rental with it in his hand. Had to take a few trips just to kick it with my man.
Okay, so at the beginning, we have the intro, and it is B.E.N.N.Y the Butcher to start off with. I'm ready for whatever blank. Butcher, yeah, okay. Yep, just like that. Griselda, blank. Yo, So it's basically just that B.E.N.N.Y the Butcher is ready to go. And then we get into verse 1. Even the FBI said the squad was violent. They labeled us young, wild, homicidal. But hustlers treat my last shit like it's some kind of Bible, 'cause I drove with my last brick in a Honda Pilot. With some fathers, never got his guidance, got in the game, and never got to get his input when I decided. It's not surprising. Blank's not as nice as Griselda, and I'm as bright as my elders off-white at Coachella. So, and this is B.E.N.N.Y still, just in case I didn't say that. I think I didn't. So right away we kind of like get the impression that him and like, his like gang or people or whoever that he hangs out with, they're violent, and they're being watched by the FBI. So, yeah. So, and then the feds claim that they're murderers. So that's pretty serious stuff. So fans are obsessed with his last album. And I think that like maybe he was like still drug dealing when he became successful. I think, that can happen. You could still just be involved with the game. Sorry, there's this one bug that like has lived in here for like a week and we can't get it out. So yeah, if you see it flying around, that's who it is. You can say hi. So he's driving around with men, I think, that are like the fathers, and like maybe he's, if they're fathers, they probably, shouldn't be like hanging out with someone that's involved in a gang or in, with violence or being watched. Like you should be out of that, kind of taking care of your kids, doing something a little bit better. So I think that's, kind of it. Like, and I think often too when, like that kind of like behavior is often like mimicked, because your kids are going to grow up knowing that that's okay. Oh, this is, kind of the right thing to do or whatever. So, it just kind of gets like passed on to the kids and, but, hopefully they won't. anyways, that's enough rambling. So they obviously got involved in dangerous lives, and he's trying to get someone's approval, and I'm not really sure like who's like approval he's trying to get. So the people he knows now are not very nice people, obviously, and I think that Griselda was like two things. I think it definitely is. So he compares them to Griselda, who is like I think from like the 50s. Like she was like a Colombian drug cartel, kind of like pre Pablo Escobar, and like all of like his crazy stuff. And you know, he probably kind of was inspired by her. I don't know the relationship, so I'm like not like an expert at that. So sorry if I'm getting anything wrong. But I think Griselda is also I think also Westside Gunn's label that he's created, I think, with Eminem, like under like the Interscope label. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, I think that's what that is. So I think it could be either way. So someone really evil or like kind of like a shout out or like a name drop about their label. So he's making it in the spotlight and he compares himself to I think in like the Bright as My Elders. I think he's talking about when Eminem was at Coachella and he was wearing like a white jumpsuit and, you know, hooded and everything. And I guess, you know, he kind of like that. And he's Benny, I think, is signed to Shady Records. So it all kind of makes sense. How you on parole with a curfew and some beef? Don't shit where you eat. The first rule of the streets, and depending what I'm paying, I could send him where you laying. Body snatcher jumping out the Renault with it in his hand. Had to take a few trips just to kick it with my man. Like, did he give us what I'm planned? I guess I'm filling up the van. Bring it back in bales, but distribute it in grams. Conversation in the cell where most criminals advance. So he's kind of like wondering why you're trying to like get back at someone, I think, and like now that you're out of jail, like on parole, and you have to be like home by like a certain time. So it's just kind of like asking for trouble, and he's just kind of like, why are you doing that? So don't start shit like on your own turf. I think you're just like having issues with like maybe like, you know, neighbors or whatever. But yeah, you know, be nice to your neighbor. Isn't that like the biblical thing? So, and I think he's also saying too that he has like the power and the connections and the money to just pay someone to get rid of you. So, yeah, he can definitely get someone killed. So he had to go away, and I think it's either like to jail, like I thought maybe, or because, you know, like the conversation that is, you know, later on. And also like away, you know, he's going somewhere to pick up these drugs and he's in a van. So, you know, he's obviously going away and maybe he's going to Florida somewhere. Just saying. Because he's in Buffalo, or he's from Buffalo. So maybe he's in like New York when he writes this. Or not, maybe he's just in Buffalo. I don't know. And so he's going to pick some drugs up in his van, fill them up, and like distribute them in a way that a drug dealer would. Just so, yeah, because if you know, you know. And so he's also talking about this plan taking place from jail, and because of like all the bad guys or are criminals or whoever are in jail, so that's where like everybody kind of like tells everybody else or tells like some, you know, probably close people, you know, kind of how to do certain things, or like, you know, if, you know, they made the mistake and, you know, they know what not to do or whatever for like the next time, or, you know, so I mean, criminals aren't stupid people. So, I mean, sometimes they are, but sometimes they're geniuses, right? You know, and people watch movies about them or make movies about them and, you know, write books about them. So, yeah. So anyways, that's it. Let's get back on track. I had my first daughter with my first wife, bought my first quarter, caught my first stripe, set up by a blank I served twice. He got picked up, then he bitched up like he was about to serve life. I turned dope to dollars. How you explain that? Straight facts. Blood on the money when I got paid back. You know them hustlers who sling packs. I'm tying I'm tying with them the same cats in case I gotta get my name back. So he wants to visit kind of like, I think, an older memory of his life to share with us. Obviously, it's a different time. So he was married and had a daughter, I guess. Obviously things didn't work out because he says it was his first wife. So assumably he's on to like at least his second. So I think, when he talks about like a quarter or something, when he bought a quarter, I assume that that's some sort of measurement for like drugs or cocaine or whatever. And in doing so, or in buying these drugs, then he earned a stripe, I think, which is like a kind of like I guess the same sort of like army stripes or whatever, in like a gang. I think you get like some sort of stripes for, partaking in certain activities, I suppose, in the gangs. So he was successful in terms of like street life. But then he I think was like kind of framed by someone, or I think he was more like ratted out by someone who, was, so he was framed or ratted out by someone, and like he kind of like, saying like, oh, did you think you were gonna get life? Did you need to like rat me out that badly? Like, he's just kind of like saying like you didn't have to like do that, but nobody likes a rat. But then on the other hand, he's saying that he sells drugs and like, there's all the proof all around him. So, it is a fact. And so he does what he does. And he'll do whatever to get like any drug money back that, people were supposed to be, giving to him, but, they neglected to follow through. So he may be in jail, but he's got like a good connection, and when he needs to make like a name for himself, he wants to make sure that somebody on the outside, because he probably knows like a lot of people are like kind of talking shit about him or trying to overpower him or whatever. So they're just trying to like make sure that when shit goes down, that he can still make a name for himself and he can still be successful on the outside. All them nights I had to pray for this. They going to pay for this, no mistaking it. Got a safe with no more space in it. We put it on tracks. These rappers copy and pasting it. Take Belichick playbook and still won't be the Patriots. Y'all shocked? I'm out of your league by a long shot. My team gave the city smoke like cigar shops. Damn, they trying to get my man. What Saddam got? Say my name and wake these blanks up like alarm clocks. So he prayed for successes. And just like that, people took it away from him. But he knows that he can get his revenge. Like obviously the person who ratted him out, or the person who kind of like, made sure that he ended up in jail. So he's got so much cash, but he can't even like close his safe. Like it's just like overflowing. So they write their stories into music, and like whereas other people who are like fakers or like their stories aren't real, so they're just kind of like taking what everybody else does and like putting it into like their songs, but it's not actual facts, right? I mean that's kind of been like the story since day one. Like there's been like this talk about like fake rappers and whatever, so I don't know, it seems to be like a thing. So yeah, those guys just want to sound cool. So the next line is basically like a bunch of football references, and like I don't know anything about football really, so I kind of got a little bit lost, but I put the pieces together. So Belichick is the manager of the New England Patriots, and so he's stealing like he's saying like other rappers could steal like his playbook, and I'm pretty sure the Patriots are good because I've heard the name before, so I assume that they're pretty good, and I feel like they're always like the Steelers versus the Patriots at like Super Bowls and stuff. So I don't know if that's true or not, but maybe it is. But either way, so like if you steal like the playbook, which has like like the best moves and everything in it, like you're still not even going to be the best because you're just a failure. You're just copying what everybody else is doing. You're not being OG. You're not being original. And I mean that's it's part of being OG. You know, you gotta be original. You know, and that's kind of like why, you know, and he's just honest and true, and like he's kind of saying it as it is, and he's kind of like spitting it as it is. So he's more talented than you, and he's making that clear. And the police are trying to arrest his girlfriend, and then something like, you know, and you have to like wake everybody up, I guess, when the police wake you up, because I guess maybe you're in jail. So I think that he also talks about that his friend is about to get arrested, and you know, like that's kind of like why he's like kind of questioning like what's happening, and you know, maybe it was the person that ratted him out, and like that's kind of like why he's saying like say my name, like, you know, maybe that's why. And then he wants to like wake everybody up and get everybody like up and like rally together. So yeah, so let's move on to verse 2, which is Jadakiss. So blanks run away and they hide, saying New York's full. They hide in. Don't say his grace. Oh, didn't say his grace, and he died his first forkful. Blank that ain't got no pride is unlawful. Things that he partakes in are done forceful. Dudes that get down like this are done awful, awful. Pull his razor out on sight and come across you. Adrenaline rush, make him do it with no remorse. With no remorse too. You would do it too, but you know how much it would cost you. You know, I'm in the left lane. Try to see how much that Porsche do. Ha. So here we have like Jadakiss, and he's saying like guys are running away from New York. You know, they're probably trying to like escape because they probably did something terrible. But he'll still find a way to find them and kill his enemies one way or another. And he's saying like those guys have like no pride, like they can't like be proud of like what they did and like own up to it and be like a proud New Yorker. Like, why are you running away? So everything that his enemy does is with force, or is like forced like upon them, and guys like that get killed in terrible ways. And you know, he kind of talks about like slashing up his face with a razor, and that's awful. Or I think that he makes his enemy do it to someone else. I think that's what happened. So he kind of had to like be tortured. So yeah. And I think it's like to the listener, don't think that you wouldn't do it like if you were in his place. Like, you know, don't think that, you know, you're better than that. You know, and it obviously comes at a terrible cost, and you know, you have that conscience. And he drives away as fast as he can in his fancy Porsche. And yeah. So do a lot of thinking so you can say that I'm thoughtful. Yeah. We ain't got a corkscrew. Fuck it. Just push the cork through. Push it through. Yeah, then pour everybody a glass, bitch. Everybody. The objective at the end is for everybody to get to stash it, get money. The grip is in his arm. Everybody, the blast, and fall back so everybody can pass. Ask me, and I'm gonna tell you that everybody is trash. So he's a thoughtful guy. And I think, you know, I kind of enjoy that he likes to kind of think outside the box and like, you know, to get the wine, you know, he kind of pops the cork through, and I never probably would have ever thought of that. So that's kind of genius, you know, if you don't have a corkscrew. So everybody that he knows, you know, gets some money from him and makes profit off of him. So I don't know who he's talking about here, but he's obviously talking about somebody that has a gun. And I think that he just wants to shoot, you know, everybody because everybody sucks. I think that's yeah, that's pretty much that. So I rolled them backs. I sold them packs. Started with the girl. Never should have showed him smack. These blanks made it through the hate. They couldn't even hold him back. Wire. Told them everything else. You shouldn't have told them that. Haha. Blank. Now they even saying you did it or they saw you. Ain't no more blanks committed to the morals. They should get bullets, double digits in the orals. Stay the fuck out of the streets. They ain't for you. So, I mean, this kind of concludes with like a warning. So I believe he's, you know, rolling them backs. Rolling them backs is like a term or like a technique that you can do with like cigarettes or maybe a joint. I don't know. So he sells maybe packs of weed, I think, which is convenient, as the Canadians have just legalized it, I guess. I'm sure that they have those as well, if they're not all sold out. So something started when a girl showed up after he introduced himself to heroin. Bad news right there. So he made it despite all the haters. Sounds like he's been identified for a crime, I guess. And if you rat on him, he'll find you, which is kind of what we just talked about before. Someone ratted on him, and warns whoever's listening that the street life and the gang life is hard and is dangerous and is tough, and you should stay away if you can. So he's kind of leaving it with a positive message. He's just like, it is really hard, like, and you end up running. You're not with your family. You're on edge. You're going to jail. You have this terrible feeling inside of you. You have you carry a gun because you're scared or whatever. So yeah, I guess it's not an easy life. So don't think that it is. So there's no chorus on here, so we're just going to go into the third verse with Westside Gunn himself. Brr, ayo, Mac with the cereal scratch, brr. Acne studio, bucket hat, stuffed with cracks, 1212 lumberjacks. My city, drug infested, cherry Cayman SS, skirt. 4 in the baby stretchers, supreme vest, and leathers over baby hecklers. 40 issue nickel. Hit you close to range twice, boom, boom, boom. Advisory board, crystals, presto off-white. First over at the Albright. Fiends knocking all night. Blanks like, who's that right there? They seen the Porsche lights, extendo hanging out the passenger. It caused a massacre. Doo-doot, 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 doot. That's not how it goes, but I'm just like letting you know. But there is a whole bunch of dudes. So now we have Westside Gunn himself. And I'm still just kind of wondering why he calls himself Westside when he is an East Coaster. Unless he's like maybe like divided in his like town or in his city of like East and West. But overall, you're East Coast. That's just my thoughts. So the serial number is like scratched off on the gun, so to conceal it or because it was black market kind of. So bucket hats are filled with drugs. So you guys all remember bucket hats. 1212 lumberjacks. I couldn't find any meaning for what that was supposed to for what that is supposed to be. So if anybody knows, definitely leave that down below. So drugs are everywhere in New York. They're very common. And like Cayman SS is like a model of a Porsche, so I had to look that up. So he's got, expensive things. He's making money. He's, doing all these crimes, and he's so powerful, and he's got like these guns that are strapped into his baby seats. Probably, he at least has one daughter, or I don't know. Someone talked to, not him. Never mind. So, but I guess he has kids, or someone does. Yeah, so he's got the guns in the baby seats, keeping them safe and protected, which is wonderful, isn't it? And so he's looking like very like fly, and he's very nice, and like and like in his expensive clothes. And people are like wondering who he is and where he came from, and he is kind of like a newcomer. So, but he's hanging out with like all these like cool guys. So, he's pretty much a badass, I suppose. And he has his gun extended in his car, which killed a whole bunch of people because he says it killed a massacre. So yeah, I mean, I hope he didn't kill anybody, but you know how it is. So let's keep going. Stick with the dumbbell drum. Black as Africa. Bullets raining. Stella umbrellas. Now they jealous. Read the same book but didn't understand the message. Drop beamers. Izzy Miyake seats, the obsolete, Chanel mask in the robbery, the feds eye on me, I pour some rose gold drive-bys, I let the roach go, skirt, still cop, big Gabbana boatloads, I'm so appalled that Coke never came back, Mr. Goyard Mozart, my shooter need a nose job, boom, 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 left his brains on these New York, Yeah, left his brains up on these New York. Check the chalkboard. The Eiffel on the postcard. Peace, God, peace, God. I can never be a rapper. I can barely get that out. So I think that he kind of like likes working out, and he likes drums. I think that's what that meant. So he talks about that he's very black, and he's like as black as the people in Africa because he is a descendant of Africa, or he is from Africa. So bullets are being fired around so much that it looks like it's raining, and you pull out your umbrella to keep yourself safe and not get wet. But that's not going to keep you very safe in this case. So he reads the same book over and over, and he still can't get anything else that like other people are getting out of these books, which, you know, is like not like totally uncommon. Like sometimes you just don't quite like get the message or whatever. So, I mean, that's okay. And then he talks about Izzy Miyake, who I looked up, and he's like a modern artist, and he made these like chair illusions. So that's kind of like what he's referring to. And they're like sticks that are like floating. It kind of looks like they're floating in the air, and they kind of make it look like they're chairs. So yeah, it's kind of interesting that he's into like this modern art or installations or whatever. So he destroys his enemies, and he looks fly AF as he commits these crimes. He talks about wearing like a Chanel mask. So he's obviously wearing like these high expensive, you know, designers. So he commits drive-by shootings. Again, I hope not for real. So he drops the end of the joint, I think. So he gets away with everything. And, you know, if he's writing about all this, then I guess he did. So he gets to shoot his, you know, I think he talks about that he's sad that like cocaine never came back. But I think he's also talking about like somebody that like kind of screwed him over cocaine, I think. And shoots him against a chalkboard. So like maybe it was a teacher or something like that. And I think he's kind of saying like peace, like peace to God, like, you know, peace be with you or whatever. But I think he's also saying like peace, like goodbye to God. So maybe he's just kind of like not really sure how he feels about God when he's committing all these crimes, which is a fair point. You know, it's hard to side with God when you're basically working with the devil. You know, you're taking like doing the bad things. You know, when the devil's on your shoulder, like you're kind of like falling into him. You know, something we talked about last week and in other songs as well. So then we have on the outro Sean Price. So God is the greatest. We can never be free. So I interpreted that as if you were kind of like a God-fearing person, you've probably like committed yourself to God, and in doing so, like you live for Him, and you're not really free to like, you know, do whatever because everything you do is God's will. So you're basically like a prisoner of God, I guess, if you want to think about it in like a darker kind of way, or like a prisoner to like your religion. But you might be okay with that. It might be like a consensual thing. I guess. I don't know if that can make any sense. Maybe to you guys. So hopefully, for those who like kind of like follow through on this like thought process are right in succumbing their entire lives to God or to like a higher power so that you can get like wonderful and happy things in like, you know, all eternity in your afterlife. So yeah, that's pretty much, I guess, how the song ends. So it's just like 3 big verses, and that's pretty much it. There's no like, you know, like I said, there's no chorus, but they each have their part, and it's kind of cool. Like they're all kind of like talking about like different kind of struggles and some situation that they're in, and that being tough isn't always the easiest life, I guess. You know, it's true. If you're a criminal, it's probably not easy. So anyways, that being said, that's it for me for now. I would like to thank our patrons on Patreon, which you can find out all the information down below. So that is Linda Williams, Ismail Gadamsi, Super Old School 1994, and Chris Prado. So yeah, thank you guys for joining. If you guys anybody else wants to join, definitely check that out. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can check me out on Twitter. You can check out everybody on Twitter, at YLF Bonnie over on Twitter, I guess. So your lady friend Bonnie. And like I said, I guess that's it for me. Let me know if there's any other songs that you want me to check out down below, and I will check them out. Bye guys!